Hello and welcome to another Lewisburg Community TV video. Welcome to Tertulia.
A bookshop like no other.
And we are coming to you in week 10, finally from the bookshop again. We're in here planning and getting ready for next week, opening June 8th.
Yes.
So we've lots of new books and we look forward to seeing people who want to buy some new books from us on June 8th. So today on the show, we're going to have two authors, Minh-Kavanagh, author of Unshot, and Beth O'Leary, author of Fletcher. We're going to be talking to them, and we're going to be looking at some of the books that we've had over the last 10 weeks, which most of them we do have in stock now. So do you want to start us off, Neil?
Yeah, well, we started off on week one with my favourite Irish author, Eithne Shorthall, and Three Little Truths. It's her third book. She did Loving Road 27 and the
Grace After Henry.
Grace After Henry, of course. How could I forget? And all three books are fabulous, and she was a pleasure to have on the show, and she showed us around her writing room where she writes her books. And then following that, we had Jane Souter, who is a lecturer in DCU, and she talked about democracy and the Citizens' Assembly, and Eithne and Jane Souter we both had in the shop giving talks, and they were both lovely. So we also had Calvary Mulhaven on, talking about The Tainted, which was on the Kenny show, and a lovely story about the Raj, the mutiny in the Raj by an Irish regiment. And she was also, this book was also book of the month for May for the Times. So lovely story, yeah. And we have some children's books. We had Emma Reid talking about Milton Megastar, which just sounds like a fantastic story book for kids. Really enjoyed that. Along Shane Hegarty with Boot, Small Robot, Big Adventure, and Rusty Rescue as well is his other book as well, isn't it?
And he's on his third book.
Yeah.
So he talked to us about writing and also about his inspiration for the Boot series.
Yeah, really lovely.
They're really funny and lovely.
Yeah. Okay, and I'll leave that there for now, and Breed's gonna talk about the other books, but after we go, first of all, go to Una Minh.
Yeah, we're going to go to Una Minh-Kavanagh. This is her book Unshot. Her life story started in 1991, and she was born in Hanoi and adopted by a lady and lived her life in Kerry. This book came about really telling the story of her life with a Vietnamese background or Vietnamese heritage and her Irish upbringing. So it's a fabulous book. We've sold lots of them in the shop, and Una's going to explain some more about the book herself. So over to Una.
Steve, hello, my name is Una Minh-Kavanagh, and I'm here to talk to you about my book Unshot, which came out just last year in 2019. And I am thrilled to see it still on shelves out there in the open. It was a long process, and it was a fantastic thing to write and take the time out to look at my life story and go back in time and experience all those moments that I had with my granddad and my mom and everything like that. So I guess I'll tell you a bit about myself and how my book came to be. So I am adopted from Vietnam. I'm a Kerry woman though. I adopted to Kerry back in 1991. And I was adopted by a single Irish woman called Noreen, and I grew up, it was the three of us there, myself, my mom and my granddad, and both of them have had a massive influence in my life. My granddad was a native Irish speaker, and just for context, here he is on the cover with myself and my beautiful capine on me, which was his, which I still own. So this is the cover, and this image in particular was quite special to me because it kind of reflected our entire relationship. We were super close, and his love for the Irish language became my love for the Irish language. He would always speak to me in the Irish language, and I would cheekily speak back to him in English, even though I knew exactly what he was saying to me. But those were kind of the basis for my memoir Unshot, because, or how we say it in Kerry, but in Kerry Irish, because the memories that I have, I suppose, were quite different because I was a person of colour growing up in a white family and an Irish speaking family too, so that was quite different. And I grew up in Tralee, County Kerry, and at the time in the 90s it wasn't wasn't a very multicultural town. It is quite now. And it was one of those things where we were often looked upon and commented upon because it was a strange thing to have to deal with, I suppose, growing up then. And so that kind of, the impression of being, I suppose, different was very much part of my life. And I had to deal with that throughout my life and going into my secondary school years and my college years and even my career. And even now I still have to deal with that question, you know, where are you really from? Which I frankly get quite tired of a lot of the time. But what the book deals with really is my relationship with my granddad, my family, my adoption, my own Irish identity, and how I foster the Irish language to be not just something that you learn in school, but something that you can utilize in your everyday life. And I think it's vitally important. I have a massive graw for the Irish language and have done my very best to incorporate it in ways that may seem untraditional to a lot of people, but because it's a very important part of my life, I feel like I need to do my best to highlight it for other people and just show that it goes beyond everything that we learned in school and that it's quite modern and fresh. So I'm really grateful that my editor Aoife came to me and asked me if I would write this story, because it's one of those things where what I hadn't really thought about, but once Aoife Walsh broached the subject with me, it was like, okay, maybe I do have something here. And writing up all those words, it was super exciting to pull together. And like I said, reliving those very special moments was kind of like going back in a time capsule. It was super, I suppose it was emotional, I have to say, especially when I had to relive some of the moments with my granddad, who unfortunately is no longer with us. So I really found it therapeutic in one way to be able to put all my story onto paper, and I'm extremely grateful as well to New Island Books, who publish the book and just really put themselves all behind me, and especially Quiva who's working with them there. It was great to have their support to be able to push my story out to so many people. And I think it just is wonderful because it's giving someone like me, a person of colour, an opportunity to showcase what it's like to be a person like me, who has had to battle with their own Irishness, I suppose, and Irish identity. You know, for me it's quite obvious that I am Irish because I've lived here pretty much all my life. I have an Irish accent, which has gone slightly, my accent kind of changes depending where I am, but when I go home at Christmas to Kerry, it is super Kerry. Right now I'm living up here in County Louth, and it's kind of like veering into an interesting hybrid, and I did live in Dublin for about 10 years, so I have a nice mix going on. But I'm just so grateful that so many people have been so receptive of my book and saw, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to showcase it to the world. So mil buchas tom se anna bhuachas of glare slongafol.
Thank you, Una. And we have some of those books in the shop, which if you want to come, and on June 8th we'll be open. So looking at some of the other books we've had on the show, we had Henrietta McKervey, who lives in Belfast. This is A Talented Man. This is her fourth novel, I think, yeah. And it's I suppose a sequel to Dracula. It's a story about someone who decides to write a sequel to Dracula. Now it's on my list to read. I haven't got to it yet. It's had fantastic reviews, and thankfully we managed to get some copies in the shop, so we've got that one. We've also had Rachel English, who reads from her gorgeous book, so you'll see that on week 3 of Tertulia TV. And Rachel's a broadcaster and has written 4 of the books, so we've also got that in the shop. Eleanor Fitzsimons we had on last week, The Lives and Loves of E. Nesbitt. So E. Nesbitt is the author of The Railway Children, which is one of my favourite stories of all time as a kid. She's also been nominated for the Donkey Literary Awards recently for this book. And another book is Wild Women, which was also really popular when it came out. We had Anne Murtagh, who's written The Sound of Freedom, and his book is published by O'Brien Press, which we always support in the bookshop, an Irish publishing house. This is the story of the War of Independence, about a boy who's 10, I believe, and the book is aimed at that age group. So we often get asked for books, you know, historical books that kids can read at that age group, so it's a lovely book. And last week we had Helen Cullen, who wrote The Lost Letters of William Wolfe. Her interview is lovely. She talks about her inspiration for the book, how she always wanted to write as a child and finally ended up doing that. And it's a gorgeous book about what happens in a postal centre where all the letters that have no addresses on them get found, and William Wolfe has to send them out.
We've also had some authors on whose books we've sold out of, but we are reordering and in time for opening. And they are...
Yeah, we had Ruth Gilligan reading from The Butchers, and I've read that. It's fantastic, a book about Ireland. It's kind of based on mythology and modern day Ireland. It's a fantastic book, so beautifully written. We had Anne Griffin. I've also been reading that as well.
When All Is Said.
When All Is Said, yes. So Anne read 20 minutes actually from her book on one of our first episodes, which was fantastic. Then we've had Hallie Agar, whose book Out of Touch we haven't got yet, but that is ordered. It should be coming this week. We had Marion Kilcoyne read from her a couple of poems.
Yeah, she's our resident poet.
And her new collection is coming out, The Heart Uncut. And that's everybody, I think.
Well, a couple of philosophers.
And yeah, we had some philosophers. We had Jason Buckley and Lucas Cries On. Actually, Lucas does have a book. It's in Polish. We don't have that. We should get it, really. We should. Okay. Okay.
So we're going to go over to Beth now.
Yeah, so Beth O'Leary, we mentioned The Flat Share. I started reading it this week. It's fantastic. It's one of those books that you want to keep reading. So I quite look forward at night to having to go to bed to pick up where I left off. It's a cross between, I think, Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine, and Bridget Jones' Diary. Yes, it's kind of a cross between those two. Anyway, we let Beth tell us some more about her book.
Hi, I'm Beth O'Leary, author of The Flat Share and The Switch. Hang on, I'll show you a copy. Try not to spill my tea all over my bookcase. This is The Flat Share, which is out now in paperback, and The Switch, which is out in hardback. Thanks so much for having me along. It's really nice to be in the bookshop virtually. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about The Flat Share, my debut novel, which is the book that changed my life, really. I was working full-time in children's publishing in London and commuting from Winchester, which is about an hour away. And I wrote the novel on my train journey to and from work because I was finding it hard to find time for writing, and writing's always been a huge part of my life. So I decided to use my train journey. And the novel that I wrote was The Flat Share. The concept is that Tiffy and Leon share a one-bed flat, but they don't meet because one of them works nights and the other one works regular hours. So they're never there at the same time. And the idea sort of started with my own living situation, really. So I had just moved in with my boyfriend, who's a junior doctor, and he was working lots of night shifts, long stretches where, and because I was doing regular hours in London, I would literally go days without seeing him. Sometimes I would be on my walk down to the train station and I would see him driving back from work that morning. And we'd pass each other, but we wouldn't actually speak. And I started to sort of piece together how he was, from things like how many coffee mugs were by the sink, or whether his trainers were out because that meant he'd have time to go for a run, and all those little details that sort of told me how his day was going really interested me. And I thought, well, what would it be like if two strangers lived this way? What would they get to know about one another from the sort of traces that they leave behind as they go? That kind of negative space around a person. So that's what inspired the idea behind The Flat Share. And yeah, honestly, that book has changed my life. I'd wanted to be a writer since I was, as long as I can remember. I've been trying to get a literary agent since I was 17 years old. That was when I sent my first query letter. And The Flat Share was the book that really finally got me that agent and that publisher. And and it's now sold in 34 languages, which is just beyond belief, really. Like, it's more than I can still absorb. So yeah, it's a total dream, and I will always have such a special place in my heart for the Flatshare, I think. But yeah, The Switch is out now too in hardback, and that is about a grandmother and a granddaughter who swap lives for 2 months. So the grandmother is newly single, but there aren't many eligible gentlemen in the little Yorkshire village where she lives. So she comes down to her granddaughter's super cool Shoreditch flat in London and tries out the London dating scene, while Lena, who's the granddaughter, needs a bit of a break. She's had a panic attack at work and she's off for two months, and she goes to stay in her grandma's little cottage in the Yorkshire Dales. So it's another really heartwarming, uplifting read, I hope, and I hope that it might make you smile. But yeah, so I hope everyone is well and that you're all, got good books to keep you company in these difficult times. And yeah, thanks again for having me.
Okay, so thanks, Beth. That was lovely, and we have the book in the shop and for sale.
And thanks to Una. That's it from us for this week. We will see you next week, and we'll be open on June 8th. Thank you for watching.
Take care. Goodbye.